welcome back to her podcast. This is episode 9, and I am so thankful if you've been watching every one of our episodes. A lot of you guys have written me on Instagram or you've commented on the videos. I'm so thankful if you've come along on this journey with us. This is a podcast all about educating and empowering women in our 20s, in our 30s, trying to get stuff done, trying to be successful. So it is her podcast. And this episode is one that I think I'm going to enjoy very much. I've got the guys on with me, even though it's her podcast. I borrowed the husbands of my closest friends and of my sisters. So ladies, even though I know they're handsome, you cannot slide into their DMs. You cannot get their numbers, nothing like that, because I'm borrowing them only for this conversation. They're all married with no,
I like that compliment. I like that compliment. I really like that compliment.
Keep that in there. Keep it in there.
Please ignore
advertisement. It's all good.
Please ignore that outburst from my production team. But anyway, I thought it would be very cool. Actually, the idea was Lex's, and I thought it would be very cool as soon as we kind of formulated this idea to have an all guys panel on her podcast to talk about relationships. Because I think a lot of times on podcasts we talk about relationships, but it's women talking to other women, and how would we really know how you guys feel? I've had the honor and the privilege I have 2 brothers. I had my dad who had a single period. So I've been able to talk to close people to me who are single, and a lot of girls that are out there have never had that opportunity. They don't know what guys think about anything. So today is your day, ladies, whether you're single, in a relationship, married. We're going to go through all the seasons, and I'm going to pick these guys' brains. And one thing I want you to know too is not only are we picking these guys' brains who are in loving, successful, sweet, loving marriages.
I like that.
Right? These are family men right here. These 2. This is about to be a father of 2, a father of 1, not a father yet, but not only are these men who have had successful marriages all the way successful.
That too.
Okay, that too. Yeah, that's added on.
There's been lots of that.
Not only are these men who have had successful relationships that have led them into healthy marriages, because that's important too. I think sometimes we take advice from people who don't have the fruit to back it up. So we're taking advice from people who are in destroyed relationships, or who have never been married, or who have never had a relationship for more than 6 months, which is something I don't recommend. But not only do they have that credibility, but you guys, all of you guys in here, have been youth leaders for years. Yeah. So you're credible not only because you've lived through it, but you're credible also because you guys have talked to a lot of guys about relationships.
Correct.
So, and I've had to lead them, and I've had to give them advice. So I'm going to dive right in, and I'm with all these ladies who are on the podcast right now. I'm going to pick your guys' brain. The first question that I want to ask is, when a guy sees what are the things that initially attract a guy to a girl, to a young woman, other than the physical? Because obviously girls can't help their physical, to a certain extent they can't help their physical, but what else is there? What is it that makes sometimes even a not so attractive girl be able to, get so much attention from guys, and other girls, they're not getting, any attention at all? What is that X factor, if there is one?
Well, I'll start off. I think one of the most attractive things that I think that a woman can have, or a young woman can have, is a hustler, a person that is working, a person that is active, that is doing something that really doesn't need anybody, that is just working really hard to reach their goals. And you're kind of like in the back just saying, wow, I am a fan of yours. I think that very simple, like that's one of the things that I loved about my now wife. At that time, I wasn't even dating her, but she had her car, had her job. She was active. She was doing something for herself. She wasn't waiting for somebody to do it for her. So that attracted me a lot. A person that is a woman that is so busy saying to herself, like, I have to reach a certain place in my life, not for somebody else, but for myself. And I think that is the prettiest thing, the most attractive thing, because you have a mind of your own. Like, you're not waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. You're just kind of like, look, I'm taking over the world, and if you want to join me, join along. If not, then I'm still doing it anyways. I think that's one of the greatest things that a woman can have.
I've seen girls who kind of, they're sitting and they're waiting for their Prince Charming. Are you guys telling me that guys notice that?
I
Of course.
I could add on to what Lex is saying. In that same context, literally, what attracts me physically is that same thing too. When I understand that this girl's not looking for a man who wants her, this girl is looking for a man who needs her, and that's so important because that shows how independent a woman could be and how independent she does not need of you in any aspect. So you're not becoming a need to her. You're becoming an add-on.
Yeah,
And that's so important.
That's a good thing. And with the same thing is, especially with me and Alex, since we married sisters at one point, which they share the same attitude, where it's they had something to bring to the table already, and it was more of like, either one, can you reach the same level as I am, the same eye level? Because there's a lot of women out there, there's a lot of young girls out there that say, well, I don't necessarily need to do that because my looks can go this far away. Well, guess what? Your looks can't get to, it can get to a point, yeah, but then after that, after you get into a certain couple of weeks or months into that relationship, there's just so much your looks can do, and it's going to come down to what are you going to offer to a man? What are you going to offer to what are your dreams? What are your inspirations? What are the things that are pushing you to be better? Are you going to be the mom that you want to be? Are you going to be the wife that you want to be to your future husband? Because at the beginning of the day, you're dating to get married. And this is that's like your first setup. It's just first setup. Like, what are you going to show to your future husband saying, I'm worth it? And it's the same way that you're going to be attracted to.
And do you feel, I think I know the answer to this question, but do you feel like guys react differently and act differently towards the girls who, like Alfred said, need them versus the girls who want them?
Oh, for sure. Once you know a girl likes you, it's completely a different ballgame because you can even take your time. You can be like, oh, no, she'll wait for me. It's fine. Versus a girl that you don't know if she likes you or not. So you're kind of like every day trying to swoop her off her feet.
You might be doing too much.
Yeah, exactly. And when you don't know, but she kind of keeps that mystery, obviously she doesn't shut down. She still flirts a little. So you're kind of like in that mix, like, wait, does she like me or not? That's like one of the best feelings because you're fighting for that attention, fighting for that love in a sense. And when you already know a girl likes you, especially those girls that come up to you and tell you, hey, I really like you.
God told me we're going to be
together.
No.
God told me. I didn't get that text.
That one.
For sure.
No,
I didn't.
Not that one.
Right
that
at that point,
person.
a girl needs to understand that she becomes an option.
Yep.
And not a necessity to a guy's life. Literally, girls come to you and say, hey, you're cute, I like you, I want you to become something. You just became an option to me. Because in a mature man's mind, they understand that they have more than one option. Especially now. You know how they say there's so many fishes of the sea. And obviously, I hate that saying, but at the end of the day, all men have that mindset. Mm-hmm. So
that's like part of men's nature.
Exactly. So you don't want to become an option in a man's life ever. You should always be valued for who you are. And that's what girls need to understand, always.
It's not so much also of what, like, we're talking a lot about a woman's perspective of, okay, what are guys looking for? Like, okay, ladies are going to be listening to this podcast. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, yeah, there's certain things you could do to maybe stand out and be different and be special. But at the same time is make sure the guy at least you're putting in your mind or the one that you're trying to look for is that right guy. Because at the end of the day, so many ladies are focused on themselves, but then they pick a guy that was not the right guy for them at the end of the day. Because it's not so much of what am I doing wrong, of more of am I picking wrong? Am I looking at the wrong places? We were all kind of like blessed the fact that we all found our special someone, our wives in church, in that setting. So we already had a woman in our lives that had a relationship with God, that was healed, and that they were learning and they were starting off the right way. But it's not always the same with a lot of people that are listening.
Yeah.
And I want to dive a little bit more into that because I think that there are girls, for sure, for me, I've seen girls that I'm counseling them or I'm giving them advice, and the simple advice is he's just not that into you. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you guys, too. Some girls make themselves too available, and then they're picking wrong because they've made themselves too available, and a guy may be out of boredom or whatever other reason just kind of plays around. So how do we know? I mean, not me. I'm married, thank God. But how do they know, these girls out there, when they're dealing with a guy, like, does a text back mean that he likes you? Like, show me and show me both sides. How does a guy act when he's interested, and how to know when a guy is not interested, and what to do when a guy is not interested?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best examples that I can give when you're like, you put yourself in a girl. Again, I'm a big brother. I have a younger sister, so a lot of these conversations came up a lot of times. You know, she ended up marrying one of my best friends, but that's a different story. But a lot of times that question would come up, like, how do I know? How do I know this guy likes me, or how do I? What are the right things to do? And one of the best things that I ever told her was like, you never want to look for the man. You want the man to look for you, but you also want to be respectful to yourself. And what I mean by that is that every time that you're approaching that person that you might have an interest in, like, don't go too far. Like, respect yourself, you know, like, in a sense, like, if he tries to joke around or anything, like, you can still be ladylike and flirtatious at the same time. Like, there's like that middle ground that you can kind of see, like, there's interest. For an example, one person, like, if you're talking to somebody and that person like cracks a joke or it says something funny or that you find something in common. I think one of the first initial steps for you to find something beyond just a friendship is when you have things in common with the person. So, like, when you have a conversation with a guy, try to see what you guys have in common. Try to see if you guys have the same mentality towards things. Like, if you want to do certain things with your life and he doesn't, you know, coming up it's going to be a problem. So, like, if you want to know if it's the right guy, try to see if you guys mentality matches or aligns. Like, when I first met my wife Janessa, like, first thing that I was like trying to find out is, okay, what do you want to do with your life? Well, to be honest with you, I'm trying to find out what I want to do with my life, but right now I'm just serving God, working and just planting in seeds. And I'm like, I'm in the same season right now too. You know what I'm saying? So the more that we grew, the more our visions aligned, you know? So before we even started dating, in our friendship, we just started to be so close as friends because we had so much in common that, you know, it ended up becoming a relationship. So I think that if you want to see who's the right guy, try to see the things that you guys have in common. Like, if you like a certain type of movies, talk to him about those type of movies. If he's interested, boom, you have a conversation you can talk about. You have something you guys can talk more about later. If he sends you a text and just, you know, just to make small talk. Don't be boring. Don't be the type of person that you can't have a conversation with, because that's something else that's very attractive.
It's all comes down to communication.
But
learning how to talk.
But before we move on, I want to go back to, but how do I know, how is he going to act when he's interested? Like, what are the signs that I'm going to see? What are the red flags and what are the green flags that I'm going to see because some girls don't know how to read guys.
Yeah, for me personally, it's all about you physically presently being there with the girl. I don't think through text message you'll really know, like, if he's interested or not. But if I do, for example, we are from a church community. If I do like a girl, or just like my wife, I understood that I liked her at church, I try to not spend, but physically, you know, make some type of contact or talk to her in some type of ways for her to understand I'm interested.
Yep.
So if a guy is texting you and he's never even talking to you or saying hi to you, he's just texting in
person.
Yeah. He's just texting you for the attention that you give him through text because he's bored in his house.
That's true.
But
it's like being left on red. That's exactly what it is.
But if a guy is coming up to you, saying hi to you, trying to spend time to get to know you more physically and personally, then you're starting to understand that, hey, wow, this guy's actually trying to get to know me, so he's trying to get more interested. If a guy's only texting you, he just wants you for the attention you're giving him.
That's true too.
I forgot about that one. The texting, but when I see you, I don't talk to you. That's a big one.
I forgot how that.
Yeah,
I've
there's
been
a lot of
married
that.
for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Where and it happens all the time, especially now that we're in this amazing age of social media, where it's so great and a lot of things, but it's so bad in other ways where you can literally have a full-blown conversation on social media, if it's through DMs, if it's through comments, whatever you want to call it, even if it's communication of liking each other's pictures, but you guys lock eyes in some type of way and that guy gives you no advance whatsoever to try to even talk to you, then that means he's looking for something way different.
Could it be even that he doesn't want to be seen talking to you, like, in church or in front of other girls, because he wants the other girls?
Exactly.
That might be.
That's
where
it
goes back
to what he was saying.
That's where the option comes in.
And also, even in that matter, you see how mature a guy is, and this is just going all the way right field, because you're seeing that he's only talking to you for the attention that you really give him. He's not talking to you to get to know you or anything else. A mature person would actually try to have a conversation before he even texts you. A mature person would actually try to, you know, personally have contact with you or really have built something before he even gets your number.
Your time is valuable.
Yeah.
Kind of like an example of mine is where when me and my wife started talking in the beginning, it was more of she liked me first before I even like really made an advance on her. So it was like different from the conversation of like, okay, like, right. And it did happen to me in that way where my wife, Shirlene, shout out. She's even though she's watching me in this room, but she liked me, so she made her advances through that way. Through if it was through social media at the time where it just started, or at church, and we had our conversations and more through that. And she did that. She said, "I'm gonna give him attention. I'm gonna give him this and that." But when I didn't want to do it, and I
when it wasn't reciprocated.
Yeah. I had in my immature mind, because it was immaturity, where I says, well, I have options, right? I got girls that like me, I got girls that don't, whatever. And it was an immature way of thinking. Her maturity level in that saw that, and she said, okay, well, on to the next one. As like that's a very, very famous story of amongst our family of what we talk about. And I recognized that. And I said, hold up, she's a cool girl. She's all this. I was like, wait. Like, I want to let's keep on talking. Let's keep on, I like the attention you were giving me and all this. But with that, it was kind of like that hook that she was able to give me, that I understood that, wow, like this girl's not like the other ones. Like she can move on, so that it doesn't, like, you're nothing to me. It's not that serious. Like, you just seem very interested. And it's that same way. Girls have to be very careful.
Which goes back to what we were saying before of you want a girl who wants you but doesn't need you.
Yeah.
Once a girl seems like she needs your attention, she needs your approval. And I mean, that's even something that as a woman I would say to girls, because you don't want to even enter into a relationship where the other party is thinking, if I leave this girl, she's going to be crumbled on the floor. You want to enter into a relationship with that maturity of saying, you know what, if you don't treat me right, kind of like what you're saying, if you don't treat me right, if you don't reciprocate the attention that I'm giving you, then I'm going to move on.
And I won't sell myself short.
Yeah, and I think that's something that in today's generation, as a leader of girls, I guess I'm like the spokesperson for all the girls, it's hard for us to do. And I think one of those reasons, and I want you guys to address this with your opinions, as the person who's usually on the other end talking to the girls, one of the things I'll hear the girls say, because they'll say, oh, he texts me or he DMs me, but then in person he doesn't talk to me. And sometimes I'll be like, well, are you sure he likes you? And sometimes the answer will be, I do, but he's just shy. Or I do, but he's just, getting out of another relationship. Or I think he does like me. He's really sweet. I don't think he's paying. What would your response as big brothers, if these were your little sisters, what would your response be?
Well, you will have your certain cases in which the boy's just shy and he doesn't want to talk because maybe you're his first crush or he doesn't really do that. But most of the time, I think it comes down, and us three, maybe we could agree or maybe you could disagree if you like, is if he DMs you, if he's texting you and he has conversations, but he doesn't want to talk to you personally or physically, then that means he's just doing that to get the attention that you're giving him. Besides that, he's not interested. That's basically my opinion.
I would tell
that's a general consensus.
I would tell him, okay, well, you did what you had to do, at least in your part. Like, now you can kind of like sit back and see if it bites. Like, see if it goes and it goes through. If it's now he has to approach you. You made your move. This is a chess game.
Mm-hmm.
You made your move.
Very true.
This if you want to see if this relationship is going to create a spark in you, and this is what it's in your plans. You make your move. This is a you give and take. Give and take. This is what it is. Like, you just keep going. I made my turn. Now it's your turn. I can't skip your turns 4 times in a row. Because guess what? If you skip your turns 4 times in a row, I'm out. And I suggest the girls do the same thing. Get out.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Because you're
going to
end up
exactly
leading
how
it.
to put it.
You're going to end up
girls
leading
are
it.
skipping the turn.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
This podcast is for people 20, 30s, maybe even reach 40 years old. It's all about patience. You have to always be patient, because when you take your time with things, that's when things are right. When you rush into things, you're just going head straight into it, and that's when things
make mistakes.
You always make mistakes.
Talking about that, I have a couple of leaders that are in their late 20s, almost 30, and they're at a point right now where they feel like their time is up. They feel like, oh, I should have been already had a family. I should have already been married. I should have already been done this. And I think that's a big misconception, because I tell them all the time, would you have rather got married at 21, go through a lot of drama, be unhappy, have kids, have 3 baby mamas, and be at 30 and say, woof, I did everything I was supposed to, but I'm unhappy, or wait for it to be done the right way? And a lot of times that there's a misconception of like, oh, my time, or like I should be in a certain way. Like, don't put yourself in that box. I think the reason why I bring that up is because Alfred was saying about the age. Like, it doesn't matter your age, like, be patient, because God has something for you. And if it takes a little bit longer than the rest, that's fine. When you do get it, enjoy it, like, and make up for all those years. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
yep,
But it's better than
100%.
that than young people that I know that at 17, 18 rushed into a relationship or into a marriage or into parenthood, and they're now 30, miserable,
Questioning
with 3
everything,
different ex-wives and 2 kids. It's like, wow, like, you got what you wanted, but look how unhappy you are. It's better to wait for the right time.
And don't force it.
Yep, and don't force
Don't
it.
force it.
So, a topic that comes up a lot among girls, but I would love to get your take on it. Single girls in their, upper 20s, early 30s in the church. Why are they single? Let's talk about. I mean, there's the obvious reasons.
I was
They could
waiting,
be-
I was waiting for this category.
there's the obvious reasons. They could be newly divorced. They could be there's the obvious ones. They could have been raising a kid. They could have been waiting because it was their choice to wait. But talking specifically about those young ladies who they're like, I've been ready. I want to be married, but nobody approaches me or no. Why? I'm sure you guys, all of you guys in here, Lexus, all of you guys in here have groups and groups of young single men. So what are these young single men saying about my girls?
I mean, if I could, I know we're each gonna have something different, and we probably have more than 3 things. But at first thing that at least goes to my mind is the older a young woman becomes, an understanding of their Prince Charming when they were 11, 12, 13 years old or however or younger, and they have this image of a Prince Charming and how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to be, how much money they're supposed to be in their bank account, all these things, right? They get to their 18, 19 years old, and they see the available men, and they're saying, well, it doesn't match my Prince Charming. Okay, that's fine, and that's understandable. You're 28 now, you're 29, and you still have the same image that you were when you were 11 years old. Well, either one, that was a fantasy, and now you understand that it's not a reality, and you want it to become a reality, or maybe you're looking at these men and comparing them to a pedestal and to a place where the only man that can really reach that is Jesus.
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's a
And
fact.
Jesus was single.
And Jesus was single.
Yeah, I want to.
That's.
Yeah.
I want to.
I'll start it with that. I'll
Yeah.
start
I
with
want to
that.
add on that. I feel like, honestly, this is kind of funny to say, but I think the church itself, Christian church, has set a type of standard that has messed that up for guys and even for girls too, because what is shown to you and what girls are always valuing is the perfect man to be like Jesus. That's who I want to marry, just
Which
like
is possible.
Jesus. But I want you guys to understand something. Jesus took 33 years to finally get to what he was called to and to complete it. Correct? There's a process in everything, and sometimes girls are looking for the result, but they don't never see the potential.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what we need to see. And all these girls, maybe they've been single because they want it perfect, but it doesn't start at perfect. It starts at the beginning.
This podcast
Well,
is
in
getting fire
Jesus'
right
case,
now.
he
That's what it is.
started as perfect,
Yeah.
but we're not Jesus.
Exactly.
We're not gonna.
I also
We're not
want-
gonna start there, and we're not gonna get there.
I'm gonna put myself on the
I-
spot too, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
I
wait
also
till
want to
it's
speak
really-
about matching your standard, right? Because we have a certain standard and we don't match it. Like, okay, you want a guy that's very handsome
good, Alex.
and is perfect. Sis.
You
That's
want
good,
to
Alex.
you want
That's
to
good.
look.
Sis.
You want a
Sis.
Lamborghini, but you a Civic.
Sis,
It's not
hold
gonna
on,
work.
hold on. No, that's not what I mean.
Oh,
what I mean
that
is,
sounded like
you
it.
want a man with a lot of money in his bank account. Sis, you haven't opened the savings. You know what I'm
That
saying?
sounds like my metaphor.
You know, so you're at a point right now that you're older and you're saying to yourself, no, but this is the promise that God has given me. Okay, I've heard this a lot, Vanessa. The promise that God has given you. Now listen, you have to be very clear whenever you say words like that, because
Yep.
some people are still saying that there's a promise that God has given them when they were 19 or 18 or 17, whatever age it was, and they're still holding on to that, but it was them in their hearts holding on to the desires of their heart and not really thinking, realistically, right? Now, I'm not saying downgrade. I'm just saying match your standards. If you want somebody to be at a certain point in their life, it's like I hear a lot of times, like at this age, I should have a man and he better not live with his mom.
But
Sis,
you live with
your
your
mom.
mom. Yeah.
Alex, that's so
You know what
And
I'm
it's-
saying?
That's
Like,
true.
I understand
I'm
that.
saying that because
That's
it's so
good.
true. Again,
Mm-hmm.
and this is no knock and no shade, but it's the truth. If you want somebody to look at you and say to themselves, "Wow, this is the person that I've always looked for in a woman," you have to really put yourself out there and really be that woman that you would want that man to be. Vice versa.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying?
And if not, you should have some compassion
Correct.
and understand.
Yes.
Because, like, if you're 33, and again, like Lex says, no knock, no shade.
Yeah.
If you're 33 right now and you are living at home, you have your reasons.
Correct.
You have something you've been through in life,
Correct.
but maybe so does he.
Correct. So
And it doesn't disqualify them.
And one more thing that I wanted to add on, because I see this a lot of times. A lot of times when in the church while we're singles, because we say to ourselves, oh, these guys need to evangelize and bring more guys in because there's not enough guys in this church. Listen, I've heard this a lot. I've had girls tell me, yo, you got to step up on evangelizing. I need you to bring more guys to the church.
He says that because guys said that. That's why.
Well, I've had, no joke, I've had a couple of girls tell me that, like, y la muchacha, like, where's the guys at, right? I say, the reason why I'm saying that.
Okay, so what's your response?
So my response to that is, why are we waiting, or why are you waiting for the perfect man to walk into the church? Why not be that virtuous woman that when guys see you, they look at you in awe? I feel like a lot of women don't want to put in that work yet. Like they just want to sit there and wait, and then they'll step up. Then they'll be that beautiful goddess. No, be the beautiful god. Look, own it like you already have it. And when you're like that, then men will look at you like, wow, this is stop
waiting for the spotlight.
Yeah,
become the spotlight.
Become the spotlight. Yeah, a lot of times I see girls that are saying, oh, but I see you every day, every Wednesday, every service.
Go shine by yourself.
Every service, I see you with a messed up bun, a t-shirt. I'm being honest.
Yeah, no.
They don't put
girls, y'all better get this. I'm gonna get canceled after this. I hope it's helping someone out there.
I'm being serious. They don't put in the effort. They don't put in the effort to look like they already are taken. To be honest with you,
that's good.
So they you come to church and you're kind of like, I ain't got no man, I ain't got nobody to impress. No, you got it all wrong. You're actually single. You should want to impress somebody. You know what I'm saying? So, because I see that, and it's like, again, if you're a married woman, then that's different, because, you got your mans. You good, you're happy. Your man loves your messy bun. Go ahead, work that messy bun. But if you're not, you get me? Like, you should be all the time, nails done, hair all the time. Why? Yeah. Because you're like, wow, I already have it together. This is what he's looking for. Who's gonna look at a girl and be like, wow, what a queen? And you're in some no knock to any
but
no
what
shade.
You're saying
but
is put effort into
effort.
what you're personal marketing.
Yes,
put effort into what you're
look like you already have it.
Exactly.
And not only looks, Alex, but also I think in all around in your life. We started going in that topic, but even in your job, in your school, in all areas of your life, you should be worried so much about yourself that the guys just start that when a guy comes, you're so busy that you say, I will set up the time that I have with you. Yeah. It's not that, oh, please, let me go to you. No, I'm so busy in my life right now that I have to, basically, I'd even say it like this, schedule you in. That shows a guy that this girl's about her business. And if she's about her business now, imagine when we're married, we're going to be about our kids, we're going to be about our family, we're going to be about our wife. Set yourself up to be that virtuous wife, the woman that the Bible talks about. Don't wait until the man comes so you can start preparing.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, and I'm going to put all of you guys on blast now, sorry, but I've known all of you guys for 10 plus years, and I will say this, ladies, all of these guys dress better now that they're married. All of these guys look better now that they're married.
I mean, I was wearing tall tees back in the day.
I don't want to talk about what I was wearing.
But one thing that girls don't understand about marriage is that there are negotiables and there are non-negotiables. Somebody who is emotionally, verbally abusive, that is a non-negotiable. Don't marry that. But somebody who doesn't have the best car or doesn't have the best shoes or doesn't have any personal style or might be a little bit socially awkward, those are not non-negotiables because a good woman can grow that.
Yeah.
A good woman
100%.
can say, hey, look, babe, I bought you this shirt. I bought you. Let me pick out your clothes from now on. And girls nowadays tend to do the opposite. And I'll include myself in that because I used to be like this. Thank God, I saw the light of the Holy Spirit and I married a good man. But I used to do that. I used to make excuses for emotionally toxic behavior. And I would not make excuses for little things like he didn't have the car that I like. Mm-hmm. That was, unnegotiable to me, but he emotionally abused me, he verbally abused me. Oh, okay, that's not that bad. And we've got it totally wrong. You said you were going to put yourself on blast, and I want to hear it.
Because because I know my wife's going to laugh at this whole time, but it was true because both, and we both have it. So I'm going to put myself on blast and put herself on blast. But we both had it because when my beautiful wife met me when I was 17, 18 years old, I had this amazing dress code to come to church in sandals and cargo shorts. It's just that was what it was.
That's a fact.
My boy was fitted.
I was fitted. I was comfortable.
No,
what do you want me
your
to do?
toes should never be visible to the Lord.
Always, all the time.
Quicksilver
Jesus
sandals.
loved me
No.
no matter what, but my wife didn't. But when that happened, you know, when we started talking, one of the first things she said, which was two things, was get rid of those thong sandals and get a job. That was like the two things. So I was just like, okay, that like I got you. Like I wanna keep you, so I'm gonna do this. And the same thing I did for her. She loved her bell-bottom jeans. I didn't. So I said, let's go to the mall real quick and let's do that. You know, and she started doing her hair more. She started putting a little bit of makeup on. And all that attracted me even more because I'm like, she wanted to have me, when I go out, saying, this is my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. This is my future wife. This is my future mother of my kids. Even at 18, 19 years old, that was my mentality. And she was the same way. This is my hardworking husband. This is my hardworking man. This is what I want him to do. And we both said to each other, we're going to make each other better in what we're doing. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's a perfect example of them seeing each other, understanding the potential they have, and in the relationship with God growing and becoming the people that God has called them to be today. Yep. And that's so important. That's why I say this, that girls are waiting for men to look like Brad Pitt, but maybe armpit has to turn to Brad Pitt. Literally, maybe it has to go through a process. And maybe literally even in the most, and I say this in the most respectful way, if there's a guy that he's cute if he lost 30 more pounds, for example,
help him lose those 30 pounds.
You could be the girl that pushes
make him salad,
and he could be good because he likes what he has in front of him.
That's a fact.
So all I'm trying to say is don't always look for the perfection. Look for what God has in front of you. Look
some diamonds are rough.
Yeah, some diamonds are rough.
To add on to that, you have to kind of like put in that effort because he's gonna have to put in that effort for you.
Of course.
You can't think you're perfect. You know, you can't think like, oh, I'm looking for this type of person in my life, and then when that person meets you, you're going to get heartbroken when they tell you, well, you need to fix some things as well. It's going to be a shocker because you thought you
get quickly offended. Like,
whoa. Like, no, this is all about you. Like, you're the fixer-upper here. No, like, you need some. And if you're open to that, if you're open to change, then you'll be a little bit more sensitive to that area. But these guys killed it.
And it's so even true. Biblical. Iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
So iron sharpening iron means that sometimes it's going to be a little uncomfortable for you. It's going to be a little uncomfortable for me, but we're helping each other get better. We're not scraping each other for the sake of pain, but we're helping each other get better. But I love that Chris kind of pushed us into our next topic of conversation because I don't want to stay just on the meeting stage. I want you guys, and we're beating up the girls pretty hard in this
no, it's
podcast,
all love.
But I hope they're taking it as a tough love, I love that you guys are being honest and transparent about how guys think, because I know that there will even be maybe girls out there like, I can't believe they're Christian guys and they're talking like this, but guys think like this, whether they are Christian guys, non-Christian guys, they think like this. Like, you cannot change the mind or the reality or the nature of men. And I don't say that to obviously excuse, again, we don't excuse abusive behavior, we don't excuse sinful behavior, but the fact that guys are looking for certain things is part of their nature. But I want to go into now relationships. So what are the biggest do's and the biggest don'ts of girls now that they're in a relationship? So you got that awkward situation off the ground. Now you guys are dating. Now you guys, it's going super well. You call each other every day. You fall asleep on the phone. What are the things that girls do to make that plummet?
Yeah.
Sink.
That sink their relationship?
That mess up their relationship? I think it's all about consistency in a relationship. And I think the longer you are in a relationship, the more you have to work for it. And obviously, every relationship has to have an end goal. If you don't have an end goal, there will be a time that you either you get out of it or you have to make a decision. And it happens in each and every single relationship. In my opinion, I think that when you first start that relationship, the first thing you should have is the goals. Because you're working towards something. And if you're not working towards something, then you're wasting the time that you have. And so in a relationship, so I want to get married in 6 years. And I don't say that, the first month, talk about that. No. If that's what you're in your relationship for and you think this is a great candidate, in the next 5 to 6 months, it shouldn't be something that be pushed on, but it should be something that
could be talked about.
And I'm not talking about you guys even talking about it, but you have that mentality set.
Yeah.
I believe, this is my personal opinion, that if you are in a relationship, you're looking for your wife.
Absolutely.
If not, you're wasting your time.
True.
Us as Christian, man, I believe that. That's how I did it, and I am a married man now. And that's not, everybody's not going to agree with that, but I agree that every relationship you enter with a girl and you're serious about, it's because you think one day maybe she has a potential to be your wife or not.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality you should always have, to set goals, to meet yourself and meet that special person somewhere. Okay, in 6 months, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set ourselves financially for this, and that. And you prepare yourself, and it takes 5 years, it takes 5. If it takes 1, it takes 1. It's all a process, and you have to be willing to enjoy and also work in your process.
Yeah. You talked about do's and don'ts, right? So, hold up. I really want to talk about this. One of the don'ts, do not cut off all your friends once you get in a relationship. Do not cut off all your friends. I repeat, do not cut off your friends and make your boyfriend your whole world, okay?
Don't
Guys,
do that, please.
same thing to you.
That's good.
Do not cut off all your friends.
Yep.
You're going to need those friends even in your marriage, okay?
Yep.
Because the moment that you want to go out with your friends and she doesn't have friends, she will make it impossible. Make sure she has friends just as much as you do.
And
That's-
don't get on your guy's
Yes.
case when he goes to hang out with his friends.
Yes.
Correct.
Right now, you want him with you all the time, but in the future,
Trust me.
you're gonna
You
need
wanna-
some
you want
time
that space.
apart.
Yeah.
Every relationship
Correct.
has the stages, and that's
Correct.
exactly what we're in.
So that's a don't. A do. Please do not lose focus on your relationship with God. A lot of times, I've seen it time and time again. You get in a relationship with a person, and the relationship you have with God decreases because all your time, all your attention is spent on your other half, which is great when you're in love. I'm not saying not to be in love, but be more in love and be more defensive over your relationship with God than with your other half. Why? Because I've seen a lot of times that somebody falls in love with somebody and that person literally becomes their God. And it's kind of harsh to say, but girl and guy, do not fall victim of saying, I am in love, so all my attention is for them. No, you are in love with that person. And because you are in love with that person, stay in love with God so you could be the best person you could be for that person.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I've seen that. And I know it's going to be kind of harsh to say, but most of the time when I see couples that are nonstop on top of each other, they're like stuck to glue, they're most likely having sex. And the reason why I mention that is because their relationship is so much about them that they find themselves saying, well, we kind of already are like kissing, we're doing everything, what's next? But when you have a relationship with God and God is in the middle of that relationship, there's boundaries, there's conviction, there's the Holy Spirit. And we don't like to, a lot of times you don't like to hear that stuff because you're saying, no, but I have to get to know this person as much as I can. It is possible to get to know that person and still fall in love with God even more. And a lot of us in that age, especially once you get older, I've seen that I'm gonna mention another don't. Please don't be scared to lose that person, because a lot of times we go to extreme measures just not to lose that person. I've seen it time and time again. I've given advice about that. I've seen guys take advantage of that in a relationship because they say, well, this girl is so in love with me that she will do whatever I say jump, she'll say how high. And it sucks because it can also be the opposite. A girl can see the guy is so in love that she's willing to do so much to his life that he literally loses it all just to make her happy. So I do want to mention that because that is very big. And you see it a lot in leadership. I'm talking from a sense of leadership. Like, I love when people get together. I mean, I love. It's the best thing when I find out somebody's together. But when I hear people that are starting to say like, oh no, me and my girl, hold up, you're your own person, okay? Stop saying me and my girl like you guys are married. You guys are not married. You're your own person. I know you're in love, but please focus on yourself. And when you keep God in the middle, man, the relationship gets even better because you guys are becoming better, and it's like so attractive. Yeah, you get to see that person. They're like, oh, you're doing group. Yeah, I'm doing group.
Yeah,
I'm speaking.
and
That's
this makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
from personal. That's from personal experience.
And the Bible says to guard your heart. Above all things, guard
Yeah.
your heart. And one thing that I've seen also leading within the church is that when people begin to act married but they're not married, you're setting yourself for heartbreak if it doesn't go the right way. You're thinking, you're talking, you're acting as though you're married, and then sometimes nothing even necessarily bad has to happen. I remember I was in a relationship once where nothing even bad happened. We just weren't right for each other. But I was devastated. I was heartbroken because in my mind, this was the father of my children. This was all these things, and he wasn't though. So even on a practical level, protect yourself by having those boundaries. I love what you said. It's not me and my girl until we're a family. You know, once we're a family, we're the Cruzes, then okay. But right now, she can have her opinion. She can spend her time her way. We're obviously going to spend time together because we love each other, or because we're interested in each other. But that's not an automatic. So I love that you said that. And then I also want to say that on a practical level, you know, girls who immediately abandon all their friends for this person, sometimes that becomes the bullet in the gun that destroys the relationship, because that is exactly what suffocates the person that you're with. That is exactly what sometimes suffocates the relationship. The relationship might have been fine, but because now it's just you two in a bubble. I mean, how many of us discovered in quarantine, the bubble only puts stress on the relationship. You know, having space and being able to pursue different interests and being able to do things apart creates, you know, it maintains mystery, and it creates, you know, this ability to be together and it be easy rather than we're together all the time. The more you push that togetherness, the quicker you're going to start fighting, the more often you're going to start fighting, the more often, you know, that guy or that girl is going to feel suffocated. So just, that's something I'd like to throw in.
And it brings
there.
urgency to the guy as well. I wanted to mention that. It brings urgency to the guy.
Urgency?
Yes. It's like, it brings urgency. It's like, look, if we're not acting like we're married, I'm going to be more urgent to marry you than if we're together, we already act like we're married. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's
too
like,
many levels to
if
get to
I'm
where
with
you
you,
want.
if I'm with you and we're not acting like we're married, we're just obviously in love, man, I'm looking forward to marriage, which is going to be on my mind, which is going to make me want to, because I've seen people in relationships for 10 years still not engaged.
And one thing you could help, which was my do is find yourself someone, if it's a leader, if it's someone with maturity, however yourself, is a big thing is accountability inside your relationship. One is you want to make sure either if it's your leader, if you're in your church, or if it's your friends or whoever else that can help you, guide you, is one is to make sure that what you're being accountable, what you're doing. Are you guys going out alone? Are you guys going out in a group? What are you guys doing? Are you skipping church? Are you doing all these things? Like you got to keep yourself accountable with someone else, because not only are you're going to just fault everything on yourself, where you're going to say, well, I can make the decision because now I can do it. And well, what if this is your first relationship? You don't know. And maybe you have someone, a friend or a leader, whoever else you want to call it, someone who can teach you a thing or two and keeps you accountable. Like, okay, well, how are you guys doing, this and that? So when either petty arguments happen or something serious happens or whatever, you have that person to keep you accountable, because this is only so much you could do with the opposite sex of your relationship to keep accountable, because you guys love each other. There's just only so much you could do and make you feel better, but you need to have that accountability. That's a big do. That's a big thing that you have to do is push for it. A big don't that girls mess it up for themselves is lack of communication and being too emotional when it comes to things. An example, one thing I hated, and I say it just like that, and not something that just my wife did, or it's a lot of what other girlfriends or whoever else did, is post your private life out into public. That's one of the things I hate the most, is why must you post everything on your Facebook? Why must you post everything on your Twitter? Why must you post everything that's going on? Because that just shows me a lack of maturity. It just shows me that means that no matter what's happening in our personal life, if in the future is going to happen, all I know is you're going to go out there talking trash to somebody else, and what's going to happen? The person's going to feel, well, this thing is not as important as you think it is, because you're posting it everywhere.
You tweet. What are men good for?
Who needs to know? Like, who needs to know that you're upset? Like, I don't get it. Like,
good.
I can't believe it just happened. We just got off the phone and arguing. What are you doing? How about you talk to me about that?
Yeah, I want to add on to that.
So that's why you said lack of communication, because it's lack of communication with their partner, but then communication.
You want to talk to Facebook all you want, but you don't want to have a conversation with me. Like, we just had an argument, and now you're posting the whole argument 5 seconds later.
We just got an argument. You deleted all the pictures with us together. It's like, come on, sis. You ain't got.
And I want to add on, just in 2021, there's such a social pressure in all areas of your life. Where's the girlfriend? Where's she at? When you guys, now you have the girlfriend. When you guys getting married? Now that you're getting married, when are you going to have the kids? And that social pressure, a lot of people fall into that, and they're discontent with what they live in right now. Be happy with the relationship you have now. Enjoy what you have. Honestly, now that I'm married and I'm about to be 4 months married, I
Whole month.
yeah, 4 whole months. I'm a newbie, but
4 whole
I
months.
realized that my singleness, and even before you're married, you are single until you literally get engaged and you get married. Those are the most important moments in your life, because those are the last moments that you are single as a man, and you need to enjoy that. You need to enjoy that girlfriend phase in which you go to hang out with your friends, and you don't need permission from that girl. And the same thing, the guy doesn't need permission. The girl doesn't need permission from the guy. And the social pressure. Sometimes this youth and this generation falls into such social pressure that literally you're just forced to do everything. You're forced to get into a relationship. You're forced to get married just because everybody's asking you the question. And from that, what happens is you become discontent, and that's how relationships start going down, because discontentment equals to unsatisfaction. You're not satisfied with what you have in your hands, and a lot of times that's what happens in today's age. Literally, I'm forced into this relationship, but I never wanted to be. It's just everybody around me was in it.
Yeah, and I think if you can't learn to be content in your single season, you won't be content in your married season.
Correct.
Because the only reason you think marriage is the answer to everything is because you're discontent, so you're looking for anything that you haven't tried before. And once you try marriage, then you're going to realize it's not perfect, and you're going to say, oh, well, maybe I want to be single again, or maybe I want to, explore something else. And it is true, the Bible talks about that also, that Paul said, I know what it's like to have a lot, and I know what it's like to have a little, but in all things content. In all things, I know what it's like to tell myself, you need to be satisfied. Obviously, that doesn't mean you don't aim for more. You don't aim for higher. You don't try to get better. But there's a difference between being discontent, and just not being able to be happy, not being able to be satisfied with what you have.
Yep,
That's
100%.
so true. That's a fact. And a lot of times I see it even in marriages after the relationship. Like, you see something in a relationship, you're saying, you better fix that. You better fix those red flags. No, when we get married, things will get. You better fix those red flags, and then you move in together. Because you get married, you can move in together, and now you're like,
Now you're stuck.
whoa, yeah, now
Red
you're stuck,
flags are-
and not only that, it's magnified because now you're living with the person, And I remember that a lot of times, and I'm gonna put myself out there. When I first started dating, I was very intense when I first started dating Janessa. I'm still kind of intense, but the first thing I told Janessa was, right when we started dating, I think it was like the first week, I told her, we're not going to play around with the word breakup. If you say you're going to break up, if I say I'm going to break up, we're never getting back together. And I said that, and she was kind of in shock. I'm like, because if we do this now, when we get married, we're going to play with the name divorce. And I'm not doing that. Why? Because I saw firsthand my parents getting divorced, which is part of the testimony of how my family came to church. My parents were getting divorced. My uncle reached out to my dad to come to church. My dad came to church because he really wanted to save his marriage. His marriage was saved. We all came, and, that's all. But I didn't want to play with that word breakup. I saw too many couples around me play around saying, oh, it's over. And you talk to them, yeah, we broke up. 2 weeks later, yeah, that's bae. It's like, hold up. What's going on? So a lot of things that one of the do's in a relationship is establish like some concrete rules in your relationship now, so you don't have to talk about it when you're married. Another thing that was very big, I mean, it's not something that is done anymore, but when me and Janessa were dating, we always had somebody with us. We always had a chaperone, which a lot of people might be like, what, 18, 19, you a grown man, what you doing with a chaperone? Well, at that time where we were at as a church, there was certain things that were done by leaders that were recommended. It wasn't forced on us. It was a recommendation that we took it as a good recommendation. And we were always hanging out in crews. We were always hanging out with friends. Like, we were always either double dating with Chris and Cheryl or with our other friends. And to be honest with you, I'm thankful for that, because it put me in a position that I was like, well, I'm kind of forced to not mess up. You know what I'm saying?
You're not placed in the predicament.
Yeah, I'm not placed in that predicament, because a lot of times when people fail, it's because they got too close to the fire and they got burned, and we were never too close to that fire, And in a relationship, another like a big do is, please, like, make sure you're always around people. Like, try not to always be alone. Of course, those alone times are important because you need to talk. I mean, you're not gonna be talking about your life decisions in front of a whole crowd and they're all looking at you, but try to keep your relationship most of the time with friends. Go on a lot of double dates.
Like
yes,
Chris
keep a
was
lot of like what Chris is saying. Keep a lot of accountabilities and set standards now. Another thing that was very big. Obviously, me and Janessa never like shared an account or anything when we were dating. But another thing that's very big is like in your relationship, start to be very responsible with your finances, and like call your girlfriend or your boyfriend out, like, hey, you're being reckless, and like I don't think that's good. And they're like, if they tell you like, why do you say that? Because when we get married, I don't need you to blow to blow all the money on something, like not being able to be accountable. Like, know each other's strengths, like
you get with that with time too, because
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, don't say that on the second date.
No, for sure not. Sure.
That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Why are
Don't.
we going over here? Let's go over here. No,
Yeah.
it's not that way, but it's more like kind of like to feed into something I was gonna add too, is take your time with things. Like, not that take your time, but more of like go through your stages. Go through your stages, because for me personally, for me to even date my wife, my wife, it was a time. I had to wait a whole year for her to turn 18, because that was just a thing. Also, it was like a back in the day.
Yeah,
church
recommendation.
thing.
Yeah,
It was a recommendation, and also her. I asked her mother too, and not even that. Like, look at that. Look how gentleman this used to be back in the day. I talked to her mom first before I even started dating. I said, "Hey, I'm interested in your daughter." And first of all, one, I understood that my wife was coming from a home that she didn't have her father in her life, so her mother played both roles. So I understood that for me to be accepted by her mother was I needed to be the man that she would want for her daughter, especially for the life that she was living. So I had to say, hey, I'm interested in your daughter. First thing she said, well, take your time. And I'm just like, okay. Like, all right, great. And what I did, I waited a year, dated when I first started dating her. Then I dated her for 6 years. 6 years before we got engaged. But during those 6 years, we were able to build such a foundation for ourselves. And just like Alfred saying at the beginning, was we understood why we were dating, and there was a lot of ups, there was a lot of downs, and there was a lot of things, and we kept accountability going back, because there was a lot of things that you helped us in our relationship also back when we were 19, 20 years old, and look where we're at, So a lot of that has to do with you have to understand that this is a roller coaster. This is a journey. This is something you have to climb high mountains. Sometimes it's just going to go through very, very soft things that are going to be fun. But there's going to be moments in your life where you have to just go through it, go through with your relationship with God at an all-time high, go through with accountability, and you take all this in, and you're going to make it to the end.
I agree. Love that. And I think that is the perfect note to end this podcast with. Thank you guys for being here on episode 9 of her podcast. And you guys that are watching, if this has been a blessing to you, if this podcast has added value to your life in any way, please share. Please share us on social media. If you post it on Instagram, I will repost it. Send it to somebody who might be blessed by it as well. We'd love to see you do that, and we'd love to hear how it's blessed you. So see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
All right.